Hi everyone, I'm Mahima ma'am, your macroeconomics teacher, and today I'm here to conduct a very small but important experiment with you all. So, ChatGPT के ज़माने में हमने सोचा that is coaching for economics really required? Should we think of doing something else? So I did a very small experiment. I took a random question paper, so ISI 2004, random. Okay, not even the most difficult, and I just selected four random questions and gave it to ChatGPT to see if they're giving you the right answers or not. Okay. The answers surprised me because I expected ChatGPT to do well. But unfortunately, ChatGPT did really badly in all the four questions. And I'm going to show you exactly, I'm going to show you my screenshots, I'm going to show you my screen and exactly tell you the right answer. And the difficult part is, and the crazy part is the part where I got the most scared was not that ChatGPT gave wrong answers, but I was a teacher, so I could identify the places where ChatGPT make mistakes. But as a student, I'm not really sure. When you are studying, can you identify it? Do you have the power? Because ChatGPT confidently tells you the answers, that this is what it is. But it does not know the theory. It does not have the knowledge to actually solve questions like ISI. So let me dive right in and share my screen and share how ChatGPT responded to very simple ISI questions. So I'm going to show you my screen now. So this is what I did today morning only. So this is, like I said, there is no command, there is no other command except solve this. So it was an ISI question, and all I did was solve this. I just gave the question to ChatGPT that solve it. Okay. So now this question is the ISI 2004 question, and what I'll do is I'll also show you the question if the question is not readable, this way, because it's a screenshot given to ChatGPT. So let me show you this question. So like I said, I simply opened ISI 2004. Okay, just a random paper, no reason for starting ISI 2004. Okay, so this is the economics part. Okay, so out of that, this was question number one. Question number one was a very simple question, elasticity question. So I started with question number two. So I just took the screenshot of this question and gave it to ChatGPT. So let's read the question together. What is this question about? This question is saying a consumer consumes only two goods, X and Y. The price of good X in the local market is P and in the distant market is Q. P is more than Q. However, to go to the distant market, a consumer has to incur a fixed cost of C. Okay, so at one market, the price is P. At one market, the per unit cost is Q, but you also have to incur a fixed cost of C. Suppose the price of good Y is unity. Okay, so there's another good Y, PY, which is 1. This is for good X. In both the markets, the consumer's income is I. So income is equal to I, and I is more than the cost that you have to pay, the fixed cost. Let X not be the equilibrium consumption of good X. If the consumer has a smooth downward sloping convex indifference curves, then which of these conditions holds? So the conditions for that P minus Q X naught is equal to C always holds. P minus Q X naught is equal to C never holds. P minus Q X naught is equal to C may or may not hold depending on the consumer's preferences, none of the above. Okay. So this was the question. Now we asked ChatGPT to solve it. Now I'm going to show you the solution that ChatGPT gave us. Okay. So this is the solution that ChatGPT gave us. So it read the question correctly. Local market price is P, distant market X is equal to Q, P is more than Q, fixed cost C, price of Y is I, income I, and so on. And consumer has two possible budget sets. PX plus Y is equal to I, or QX plus Y is equal to I minus C. So two budget sets of the consumer, which was correct. So this part was correct, that these are two budget sets of the consumer. PX is the price of X, price of Y was 1, and M is the income. So PX plus Y is equal to I, or the second choice is Qx plus Y is equal to I minus C, where C is the travel cost to the distant market. Now is where it starts faltering. Now you have to say that what will be the X naught was the equilibrium choice. Now what ChatGPT does is it compares the two budget lines. So when it compares, it finds the point of intersection. So these are the two lines intersect at, and it finds a point of intersection for the budget line. It calls this the critical quantity X star. Okay. So then it also correctly tells you that means there are two budget lines that the consumer can face. Now, ChatGPT is obviously not very good at drawing diagrams. So it just tells you that there are two lines. They both have a point of intersection. It can't draw the diagram. So it says that this is X star. That's the point of intersection. And if X is less than X star, then the local market line lies above the distant market budget line. So this is the local market that time. So we can use another color that's more outwards. And if X is more than X star, then the distant market is more outwards. Okay, so it tells you that the consumer's feasible set is the upper envelope of the two budget lines, creating a kink at X star, which is C by P minus Q. Okay, so it gets it right till now. Then the next question is, where can be the optimum? So here what ChatGPT tells you is that with smooth convex preferences, optimum may occur on the local budget segment, which is this. So this was the local budget segment. This was the distant budget segment. And this is the kink, that the equilibrium may occur at any points in time. So probably an IC something like this, that, we may have an IC which could look anything like this. And you may have an equilibrium here. You may have an equilibrium here, or you may have it exactly at the kink point. So nothing in the question guarantees which of the following may happen. It depends on the consumer's preferences. Okay. If it occurs at the kink, then X0 is actually the kink point. And so therefore, this, and if P minus X0 is this, and the optimum segment can be at the kink at which this will be true, can may not be at the kink. Therefore, the equality may or may not hold. It may fail. And so option C of our options was taken as the right answer, right? Now the thing is this the right answer? Would anybody like to tell me, is this the right answer? By looking at ChatGPT, you might think yes, but the answer is no. This is not the right answer. And here lies the problem, because you may not know actually what is the right answer. So I would definitely like to help you that the consumer initially was at some point, right? So let's draw the diagram that initially the consumer was at some point. So this is the initial IC of the budget line, right? Which is what the consumer would have been. And it had some equilibrium. Okay. I'm not even marking X star here. X star could be something else. Now, then the consumer has a new option. And like ChatGPT rightly pointed out, that new option is going to have, it's going to cross something like this, right? Maybe something like this, or it could be, so this, and there's nothing sacrosanct about this line. It could be like this here. 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 Let's say it exactly cuts this point. Okay. Let's say it exactly cuts this point. Okay. So this new budget line exactly goes through the old budget line. Okay. Now the question, the question to notice, the question was that, does P minus Q X naught is equal to C? Okay, does this hold? Okay, now what was X naught? X naught was the point of old equilibrium. Okay, X naught was the point of old equilibrium. X naught can never be the point of new equilibrium. Okay, why? Because if we know our basic consumer theory, if this is one budget line and one IC is tangent to one budget line, okay, that same IC can never be tangent to a new budget line at the same point. So if this red budget line is also tangent to our IC, both the points can never be the same. You can never have the same point as equilibrium. If this is one point of equilibrium on the blue IC, the red IC will always have another point of equilibrium, because tangential means that they are tangent. The slope of the IC is point of tangency is the slope of the IC, right? So the slope of the IC is for the blue budget line, it was higher, and the slope of the IC for the red budget line is lower. The slope here is P and the slope here is Q. The slopes are different. So when the slopes are different, how can the point of tangency be the same? So the point of equilibrium cannot be the same for both. Okay. So this equation can never hold in equilibrium. The point of tangency cannot be the same. So ChatGPT said that it may or may not be depending on the consumer's preferences. No, consumers' preferences are defined. What are the consumer's preferences? The consumer's preferences are convex. It is given to us. And when consumers' preferences are given to us as convex, then it is not possible for two lines to have the same point of equilibrium for a convex preference. So hence, this answer is incorrect. And if you had studied this, you would have missed this concept, which is very important for ISI and tested in different ways. That, because when budget line changes, when slope changes, the point of tangency has to change. It cannot be at the same point. Okay. So this was a very important question, and I hope you all understood this. So this was wrong. Question number 1, ChatGPT failed. So here is 0 out of 1 for ChatGPT. Okay. All right. Next was a very simple question. It was a true and false question. So this question I'll read out aloud to you. I've also kind of clued in. So I asked ChatGPT, indicate which of the following statements are true or false, adding a few lines to justify your answer. So a barrel of crude oil yields a fixed number of gallons of gasoline. So basically a barrel of crude oil, one barrel is giving you a fixed number of gallons of gasoline. Okay, so let's say from one barrel you can extract, let's say 10 gallons of gasoline, for example. So this says, therefore, the price per gallon of gasoline, so price per gallon of gasoline divided by the price per gallon of crude oil is independent of crude oil production. So since this ratio is fixed, does it mean price of gasoline by price of crude oil is independent of crude oil production? So ChatGPT here does not give a wrong answer. It says the answer is false, that PG by PC cannot be fixed. And it says because the question is kind of misrepresenting. The question is a technological relationship, and it is converting that relationship into a price relationship. So this is not a price relationship. This is just a technological relationship, and prices are determined by supply and demand in their respective markets. And the resulting prices need not be proportional. Okay, so only under very restrictive assumptions should they be the same. So the answer is false. So this answer was correct. Like I said, it gave a right answer, but we could, if you as an economist write an answer, we are ISI is expecting more than regular stuff. They want to know your concept. So we have to properly explain that, when that your prices, your change in prices uh, change due to a change in demand, and they can vary because of different elasticities of demand. So we have to explain that the elasticity of gallon could be different from the elasticity of crude oil. So they could be very different. So that is why we cannot just assume that the prices are going to change in the same direction. The fall in demand or rise in demand may be the same. The fall in production or the rise in production will be the same. But the elasticity of the two goods, if they are different, then they will have a different impact on prices. So instead of just saying that no, this is false, the explanation was inadequate. You had to also bring in the concept of elasticities, which ChatGPT could not do. So I would say this was half correctly done. If you had answered this in a PEB question, you would get half marks, right? So, 0 for the first question and only half for the second question. Okay, so 0 over 1 and half over 1. So right now we are at 0.5 out of 2 for ChatGPT when we have done 2 questions. Now let's move on to the third question. Third question, ChatGPT did correctly. So this was the only question that ChatGPT did correctly. This was question number 4 from ISI 2004. It was a question on SKM, simple SKM question with some transfer of income and import restrictions. And this question, ISI, I would say, did correctly. So we'll not go into this question for now because I want to show you something else. But like I said, this question, ISI ChatGPT did correctly. And so if you take the total marks of ChatGPT, it is 1.5. So one question correct, but out of 3. So 1.5 out of 3 till now, ChatGPT has gotten correctly. Then the fourth question I gave to ChatGPT. This fourth question is an ISLM question. You are given an equation. This is the savings equation. This is the investment equation. This is the money demand equation. And you had to prove that does the Laffer curve relation holds here. So the Laffer curve relation is that so you have to know Laffer curve for that the Laffer curve relation is there's there's a relationship between tax and tax rate. Okay, that so Laffer curve showed that as your tax rate kept on increasing, your tax collection would go up, but ultimately it would come down also. So that's the relationship between tax collection and tax rate. That as your rate keeps going up and up, the tax collection will eventually fall. That's what Laffer proved. You cannot just keep increasing tax rate and hope that you will keep collecting more taxes. There comes a point when tax falls. So they wanted you to take these equations and solve and prove that what happens when tax is collected and what happens to the tax collection. Now here ChatGPT stumps the worst. Okay, it was a simple equation which they could have made. So they made an equation. They solved the mathematics is fine. They know their differentiation. So mathematics is fine. They did mathematics. They substituted, got a right answer, interpreted this, that. Part 2 also done, everything done, right? So you look at it and you feel like, yeah, the answer seems correct. And then but again, because they don't know their theory, the starting point of ChatGPT is incorrect. This equation itself is incorrect. Why is it incorrect? Now ChatGPT has said this is SYT minus theta y. So this was a savings equation. So savings is equal to investment plus D. So they have written savings. The equation that they have used is saving is equal to investment plus G. But this is not the ISLM equation. This is not the IS equation. The IS equation is S plus T is equal to I plus G. They've forgotten the T here. And T in this case is this T theta y. So this equation, actually the correct equation had to be S y minus T theta y plus T theta y is equal to IR plus G. This was the correct equation. And once you had the correct equation, the solving part was done by GPT correctly, but they could not get the equation correct, the first equation correct. Solving part has now become standard. They know how to solve. Mathematics is okay. They've been programmed in mathematics. So this solving would not be a problem. Okay, but forming the equation was a problem. ChatGPT could not form the equation, and here the whole PEP question is messed up. So from 1.5 on 3, you go to 1.5 on 4. And that is the score of ChatGPT. It is 1.5 into 4. Okay, so, and if you want to take a percentage out of 100, so the numbers are in front of you. Okay, this is 37.5% correct. So that is the score of ChatGPT. ChatGPT could only get 37.5% of the questions correct, and rest of it was all wrong. So you as a student, today me as a teacher could catch it. And like I said, I can share my screen again. These were just 4 sample questions, not tested, not picked up for any reason, just 4 questions to check whether what is ChatGPT is doing, and should we really find another job? And from here, I'm not really sure that answer is yes, that ChatGPT can help you all, crack good exams, clear your concepts. Yet all ChatGPT does is gives you some direction, perhaps I would say. It helps you in solutions for sure. If mathematics is your problem and how to solve is a problem, it does a good job of doing that. But it conceptually, ChatGPT cannot help. So I would say that all of you, who were relying on ChatGPT to be like a support in the solving of these entrances, it may or may not be a correct support. So don't forget your books. It does not replace books. It does not replace teachers till now. I don't know about the future.